Hey everyone, the Game Piece here, and it's been a while since Temtem has come out in early access, and with that, many players may not remember exactly what is occurring in the story. So the aim of this video is to go over the major story elements of Temtem so far up until Cipanku Island, so let's get right into it everyone. Starting off on your journey, you learn that it is your Apprentice Eve, which is the day that a Tamer is capable of essentially journeying out on their own with Temtem. You also meet Max, who is also having their Apprentice Eve, and you meet Professor Konstantinos, who invites you to choose your very first starting Temtem. Upon reaching the lab, you learn that Max has received their very first digital Temtem, Ori, but doesn't state directly where they obtained it. After receiving your starting Temtem, Max will then challenge you to a battle, which unfortunately you cannot win, but upon losing, you will receive a gift Temtem in the form of 2Y from the Professor. Now, continuing your journey through the island of Deniz, the player makes their way to Brickle de Mar, where you meet up with Max, the Professor, and the Dojo Master of Arisala, being Sophia. The Professor mentions they need to head to Arbory, so Sophia decides to show you around. After giving you a tour, she decides to return to her dojo, and after doing a few chores around the town and at the Tamer School, you decide to make your way also towards Arisala, which is the town of that first dojo. However, once you make your way to that dojo, you learn that Sophia has apparently gone missing, having gone towards the Windward Fort, but apparently the people at the dojo have not heard back from her for a while, so you decide to head towards the Windward Fort to find her. Now, when you head north towards Arisala, the player enters the Windward Fort and eventually discovers that it's full of members of Clan Belsodo. So as the player makes their way through the Windward Fort, they eventually find Sophia locked up in a holding cell, and the only way to release her from the cell is to make your way to the top of the fort and find the key. So the player has no choice but to reach the top of Windward Fort, where you'll encounter Lady Lottie, who will challenge the player to a battle. Now, after victory, Lady Lottie will flee and you'll be able to grab the key and free Sophia from her holding cell, allowing her to return to the dojo, where she eventually will be awaiting your arrival. You don't know exactly what Lady Lottie is up to here, you just know that Clan Belsodo is attempting, or was attempting, to occupy the Windward Fort. After this is resolved, the player makes their way to Sophia and defeats her in battle, and after defeating her dojo, Sophia will mention that you can improve your taming ability by fighting someone known as Roruri in Mokupani Dojo on this new island called Omninesia. The player then sets their sights towards Omninesia and heads towards the airship in Arisala and meets the captain, Adia Ture, who is the captain of the Narwhal airship. She initially states that you have no room on the airship for you, but will make an exception if you do a small task for her. She wants you to head to Turquesa on Deniz Island to find Tahini, as she is a passenger of the airship and they won't leave without her. The player then proceeds to make their way to Tahini in Turquesa, who states that they don't want to leave the island just yet, so they give you an airship ticket, allowing you to make your way back to the airship and you'll be able to board the Narwhal. But just as you're about to board the Narwhal, Max rushes up to the player and attempts to challenge you to a battle. But win or lose, you'll make your way to Omninesia after this. Max just wanted to assert their dominance over you, basically, and show that they're stronger than you. Once you're on the airship, you'll be informed that due to high amounts of smoke around the island, you can't land the Narwhal without help from the navigator, so we'll have to do a few quests around the airship to get some navigational charts to give to the captain to allow her to land the airship safely. But after landing on the island of Omninesia, you do learn that the reason for the smoke is that the volcano is actually erupting, and there is no way for anyone to fly to Kisiwa Island, apparently, from the smoke caused by the volcano. However, you are here on Omninesia to challenge Roruri, so you plan to make your way to the dojo, and once you encounter Roruri, he seems to be uneasy about some scientists that apparently came into his dojo and stole his lift key, but however, after battling Roruri and defeating him, he will realize that you were actually sent by Sophia, and then he proceeds to give you an elevator key and asks that you investigate the giant banyan, as apparently some outsiders have been harassing locals there. So the player then makes their way to the giant banyan, where you'll find Carlos, a detective of the archipelago. Carlos is spying on Clan Belsodo currently and requests that the player finds a way into the giant banyan. He also gives you permission to ride the lift to the top of the island where the volcano currently resides. As you make your way forward, you'll eventually find some Belsodo members swimming and decide to steal their uniform. After doing this, this allows the player to dress up and impersonate a Clan Belsodo member, making your way into the giant banyan when the guard members change shifts. So in the giant banyan, you make your way to the bottom of the tree, and Carlos eventually decides to sneak into the island and learn that Belsodo was responsible for the eruption of the island, as well as responsible for buying up all of the crystal skates on the island. But thankfully, Carlos decided to have some foresight and stole a pair of crystal skates for the player. After having the crystal skates, you're now able to make your way into the volcano on the top of the island, so you proceed to make your way throughout the volcano and eventually come across a scientist known as Dr. Hamijo. Now, Dr. Hamijo used to be a scientist who worked at Nanto Labs in Cipanku, and in this volcano you see him experimenting on a Temtem called Anahir, trying to alter its type into a new type of Temtem called a diamond type. Obviously, seeing that Anahir is in pain, the player objects to this and attempts to defeat Hamijo in battle, and when they do so, they will rescue Anahir, while the doctor proceeds to talk about their time, about Nanto Labs and how they wouldn't be allowed to do such experiments like that, and how his research was stalled and wasn't able to essentially do what he wanted to do there. So then he proceeds to escape the volcano, and we aren't able to stop him. But after we take care of the Bel Soto, we proceed to meet up with Carlos at the Nanga Dojo on Omninesia with Tahini again, who has since returned from Deniz Island, and you proceed to discuss with them about what you learned about Dr. Hamijo being a Cipanku scientist who had been expelled from Nanto Labs, as well as the connections between him and Lady Lottie, and wondering what possibly they could be having to do with working with one another. And then you learn that Tahini wants to call in support from the Tamers. Now, Tahini states that they want to raise up 4 Tamers, and apparently they know where to find one, while Carlos believes they know the location of another on the island of Arbory, and they want the player to come with, but Tahani interjects and wants the player to actually go to Kisiwa Island and investigate a report of some suspicious activity that has been occurring there. Carlos does agree with that and thinks it's a good idea, but Tahini will only send you there if you can defeat her in battle. But after defeating her dojo, she acknowledges your power and feels confident about sending you to Kisiwa, and she'll give you a Deandre who she apparently bred and trained up herself, and you'll be able to add that to your party or do whatever you want with it. With the island safe, you make your way to the Narwhal airship in preparation to head to Kisiwa. On the airship, you're greeted by the sound of alarms after waking up from a nap, and it's apparently under attack from Clan Bel Soto. You make your way up to the deck of the airship where you'll find Lady Lottie, who commands the Narwhal to be shot down out of the sky. You decide to battle Lady Lottie, and win or lose, the ship proceeds to get shot down by Clan Bel Soto and has a crash landing. Now, after you wake up from the crash, you discover that many items are missing from your inventory, including your surfboard, your map, crystal skates, and your Temessence file. However, as you wander the crash site, you'll be able to find your map and Temessence file, but the skates and surfboard are nowhere to be found. Eventually, you'll keep making your way around the crash site, and you'll find Captain Adia, One-Eyed Matthew, as well as the engineer of the Narwhal. They learn that they are on the island of Tucma, and they learn that someone called Naolin will be able to help them if they make their way just a little bit north of the island. So you proceed to make your way north and encounter someone called Naolin, who lives in the Barrens of Tucma and will gift the player a gas mask, as well as give you a little bit of advice and to help you on your way. Naolin sends you to the city of Quetzal because that's going to be your best option of getting some help for your crash members from the victims of the airship crash. So you decide to make your way there with the help of the gas masks from Naolin, and immediately once you are there, unfortunately you are jailed. You make your way into the city of Quetzal on Tucma, and immediately the guards think you are suspicious and mistakenly throw you in prison. You don't have any sort of story or any sort of reason why they would be throwing you in this prison cell yet. You're just thrown in the prison cell. So once you wake up in jail, you try to determine what you're going to do next and determine what your options are and pretty much where you go from here. But thankfully, One-Eyed Matthew decides to come to your rescue and attack a jail guard to break you free, allowing you to escape into Tucma, and you'll be able to escape actually with one of your cellmates, who actually ended up being a stowaway on the ship of the Narwhal. So once you make your way a little bit south, the stowaway will mention that they have a friend here in an old house, who you actually end up hiding in from the guards of Tucma and Quetzal, and you're actually able to hide here, and they actually give you 4 free Temtem, as your Temtem were taken away from the guards. Now with these new Temtem, you're actually able to make your way through the mines of Tucma. After you make your way through the mines, you eventually find the stowaway again, who will proceed to give you all of your old Temtem and items back, as well as give you a disguise mentioning that the guards are on the lookout for someone who looks just like you. The player decides to make their way to the dojo to challenge Master Urini to clear their name, but as they decide to make their way north, they actually see what looks to be someone who looks exactly like them, but it's clearly Max, who's running past them and is the culprit behind all of the shenanigans in Tucma. After you make your way to Urini, Urini expresses some concern for the things that you've done across Tucma, things like exploding the mine with rock slides and just generally causing a big nuisance on Tucma. They decide to give you one last chance in battle, in which you defeat Urini. They will say that you're obviously not the same person who had committed those crimes, and they attempt to clear your name with the guards of Quetzal. They take you out to Captain Coley, who was the main captain of the Quetzal guards, who profusely apologizes for how they treated you and explains that you can get some medicine for your crash mates and anything else you would need in from the Temporium, as well as the Smithing Guild, which will help you to repair the narwhal and get off Tucma. After this, you'll go on a few different side quests to rescue Matthew, find your engineer, deliver medicine to the crash victims, and eventually find someone to repair the narwhal. This will eventually lead you to gifting a Toxolotl for a surfboard and allowing you to take on a quest to acid-proof your surfboard, gaining access to the Kakama cenote. Max blocked off access to the mines from Quetzal easily, so you attempt to go down there, and lo and behold, you find Max trying to take the Shuin's horn for someone called General X. After you defeat them in battle, they discuss how General X will be arriving in Kisiwa soon, and about how you apparently were distracted enough to allow General X to take over Kisiwa. The player then retrieves the horn and eventually opens the mines again, allowing the people of Quetzal to access the materials necessary to repair the airship, allowing you to make your way to the airship and have it be fully repaired. However, you are informed that you currently still cannot make your way to Kisiwa by airship because it is currently under attack by some unknown forces. This leaves the player with no choice but to rock hop to Kisiwa, so you end up meeting Mankey, the engineer's boyfriend, who will gift you the rock hopping hook, which will allow you to traverse the island rocks towards Kisiwa. As you approach Kisiwa though, you'll meet Max again, who are upset that the plans they had in Tucma didn't work out. Max expresses that they wish that the player would join Bel Soto and how powerful they could be, but the player refuses to join and Max runs off once again. The player then arrives in Kisiwa but is restricted by which route they can take because of tactics from the Kisiwan resistance. This is a group that is attempting to defend Kisiwa from the likes of Clan Bel Soto, which have attempted an invasion of the Kisiwa island. You make your way through Kisiwa to Vumbi, where you will find Musa, the dojo master, at the local Temporium. They request that you help defeating Bel Soto in the local tunnel, and after taking care of the Bel Soto in the tunnel, Musa will request that you challenge the dojo in an attempt to get you to join the resistance. After you defeat Musa, you'll be accepted into the resistance and told to venture forward and scout out the Geno Gap. As you make your way across the island, many Bel Soto grunts will repeatedly battle you from airships, and you'll eventually make your way to the bridge and find that the resistance destroys it because they don't want Bel Soto to have easy access to resources on Kisiwa. The clan Bel Soto members mad at this runoff, and you obtain some climbing gear, allowing you to make your way further up the northern part of the island towards the Nuru Lodge and beyond, where eventually you'll reach Upanzani, where you'll find Captain Adia of the Narwhal, who is still pretty upset over what the Bel Soto did to her airship. You discuss the plans with the Kisiwan resistance to take over the northern part of Kisiwa and head through the Chini Grotto towards the Tasa Desert in Kisiwa to dispel of the Bel Soto currently occupying the desert. After clearing up the members of Bel Soto from the desert, you encounter Carlos, who checks in on how you're doing and states they will meet up with you later in Uhuru in Kisiwa. After finishing up your operation in the desert, you make your way north to the airship and discuss your plans with the Narwhal crew and your plan to pull off the task called Operation Tusk. Operation Tusk is the plan to infiltrate the city of Uhuru, which Bel Soto has currently taken over, by airdropping into the heart of the city from the Narwhal. Eventually, you drop into the city with plans to open the city gates for your resistance members to storm in and take over the city from Clan Bel Soto, but as you're about to open the gate, Max finds you once again and challenges you to battle. After battle, you proceed to open the gate and let in the resistance as you make your own way up the stairs to Uhuru. At the top of the city, you find General X, who isn't happy about what you've done and how Max has been doing in Clan Bel Soto. After an argument with Max, General X proceeds to push Max directly off the edge of the island. Now, it's never directly confirmed if they are dead or alive, however the player is led to believe that they are in fact dead. General X then challenges you to an intense battle and after resolution retreats to something called the Telebos. After battle, you awake in a hotel room with Carlos talking to you and he explains that the resistance did succeed in taking back Kisiwa and Clan Bel Soto has retreated. They discuss what has happened to Max and what they're going to do next, and has informed you that Musa has summoned all of the dojo masters of the archipelago to form a council to discuss what actions to take in regards to Clan Bel Soto. You meet with the council and meet the Cipanku dojo master, Dr. Sasaya, for the first time, and then proceed to discuss the happenings of what Bel Soto has currently accomplished on the islands of Deniz, Omninesia, and Kisiwa. Carlos mentions Dr. Hamijo, to which Dr. Sasaya begins to be intrigued. He also discussed that he also found out that Lady Lottie comes from a family of nobles on Arbory. It's also mentioned that General X is not the final boss of Clan Belsodo. The current boss is unknown and hasn't been mentioned by name, only has been called the boss. They also discuss a structure known as Telebos and discuss it to be a giant flying fortress that Clan Belsodo occupies. After the meeting, you decide to talk with Carlos back at the hotel and get interrupted by Tihani. Tihani then mentions it has been a year's worth of time since you have been in Omninesia, so a lot of time has been progressing in the story as you've made your way throughout these islands. You decide to go talk to Dr. Sasaya to see if you can find out more about her relationship with Dr. Hamijo from Cipanku. You find Dr. Sasaya at the library in Kisiwa and find out that Dr. Hamijo and Dr. Sasaya had differences that caused them to disagree with each other. She also mentions a fortified cloud that can move around, presumably this is Telebos, a fortified flying airship occupied by Clan Belsodo. Asking further about Cipanku, Dr. Sasaya talks about how the recent introduction of many digital Temtem into the wild has thrown off the ecosystem of what naturally was occurring before, and discusses the possibility of Clan Belsodo currently having an operation set up on Cipanku. You relay this information to Carlos, who agrees you will need to go to Cipanku, but first you need more information. The player realizes they never checked out the Giant Banyan after they first cleared it from Belsodo, so they head back to the Giant Banyan and discover Lady Lottie's diary. They find out that all of the reasons for buying up the Crystal Skates was so no one was able to reach the volcano and disrupt the plans with Ana here. You bring the diary to Carlos, who attempts to decode it and discovers a message about bringing the Telebos to Iwaba, a region in the island of Cipanku. Now, the player sets off on the airship to take on Clan Belsodo and the fortified flying fortress Telebos on the island of Cipanku. I know that was a long video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys got all caught up on the story, and Cipanku is right around the corner, and we'll be able to find out what happens next for our player and for Clan Belsodo and for the council. Are we going to meet any of these Arc Tamers? What are those exactly? We don't really have any sort of semblance as to what those could be, but I guess hopefully we'll meet those in the next island, and I know I'm very much looking forward to it. But thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely be sure to subscribe for more Temtem content in the future, and be sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video. There'll be lots more to come as we are closer and closer and closer to Cipanku. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.